How do you make progress every day, no matter what? That's the question. Because life doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't care if you're feeling tired, unmotivated, or unsure. Life moves with or without you. And the key to real success, real fulfillment, is making sure you're moving with it. Now, progress doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't need to be flashy. It doesn't even have to be obvious to anyone but you. But it must be consistent, a little bit, every day. Because the greatest transformations in life don't come from one big decision or one lucky break. They come from small daily disciplines stacked over time. Most people are waiting for something. They're waiting for the motivation to hit, waiting for the right time, waiting until they feel ready. But the truth is, motivation is unreliable. The right time? It rarely comes. And feeling ready? That's a myth. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who had the best circumstances. They're the ones who made progress despite them. So how do you do it? How do you keep moving forward when you're tired? When life gets hard? When the results aren't coming as fast as you want? That's what we're going to talk about. Not theories, not wishful thinking, but real practical ways to make sure you get something out of every single day. Because at the end of the day, progress is a decision. And once you understand the mechanics of it, once you learn how to create momentum, every single day, nothing can stop you. Progress begins with one simple shift. You must stop negotiating with yourself. Most people wake up every day and start bargaining with their own mind. Should I get up early or hit the snooze button? Should I go to the gym or skip today? Should I work on my goals or can it wait? And here's the problem. When you give yourself an option, you give yourself an excuse. Discipline is not about feeling like doing something. It's about making a commitment and sticking to it. Successful people don't debate whether they should follow through. They just do. Because when you start your day negotiating, you lose. The mind will always choose the path of least resistance. It will always favor comfort over effort. That's why you can't rely on motivation. Here's the secret. The first decision of the day sets the tone for the rest of the day. If you win the morning, you build momentum. If you lose the morning, it becomes easier to make excuses all day long. So, how do you take control all day long? Do you take control? You make your standards non-negotiable, not optional, not dependent on how you feel, just what you do. You wake up at the time you said you would. You move your body even when you don't feel like it. You work on your goals even when no one is watching. And over time, this builds something powerful, self-respect. See, confidence isn't about talent. It's not about luck. It's about trust. Do you trust yourself to follow through? Most people don't. They've broken so many promises to themselves that they no longer believe their own words. But here's the good news. You can rebuild that trust. Every time you keep your word, even in the smallest way, you prove to yourself that you mean what you say. Now let's talk about something that derails progress faster than anything else. The all or nothing mindset. This is the idea that if you can't do something perfectly, you shouldn't do it at all. This is dangerous because life is messy. Circumstances change. And if your success depends on perfection, you're setting yourself up to fail. The key to daily progress is this: something is always better than nothing. If you don't have time for a full workout, do 10 minutes. If you can't read for an hour, read for 5 minutes. If you don't feel like working on your business, make one phone call, send one email. Progress is about motion, and even a small step keeps you moving forward. Think about it like this. If you improve by just 1% every day in a year, you won't be 365% better. Compounding works in your favor. You'll be over 37 times better. That's the power of daily improvement. Small things add up. And eventually, they create something unstoppable. It's better. Tom, that's the power of daily improvement. Small things add up. And eventually, they create something unstoppable. Now, there's one more thing that's crucial to making progress every day. You need to control your focus. Because what you focus on expands. Most people waste time worrying about things they can't control. They focus on what's missing. They focus on what's wrong. And where does that energy go? Nowhere. But the people who make progress, no matter what, they focus on what they can do, what's possible. They put their attention on action, not problems. So ask yourself, what are you focusing on every day? Are you focused on what you can't do, or are you looking for ways to move forward? Because progress isn't a matter of luck. It's a matter of choice. There's something powerful about momentum. Once you start moving, it becomes easier to keep moving. Once you break through resistance, you realize it was never as big as you thought. The problem? Most people never reach that breakthrough point because they let hesitation creep in. Hesitation is a killer. It doesn't just slow you down, it stops you entirely. Think about the times you hesitated in life. Maybe you wanted to speak up, but you waited too long and the moment passed. Maybe you wanted to take action, but you second-guessed yourself and suddenly the opportunity was gone. Progress requires decisiveness, not perfect decisions, just decisions. You don't need all the answers to move forward. You just need to take the next step. And the best way to beat hesitation? Shorten the gap between thought and action. Here's what I mean. The longer you think about doing something, the more likely you are to talk yourself out of it. So, stop giving yourself time to overanalyze. If you decide you're going to do something, do it immediately. Count down from 5 and move. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't let fear creep in. Just go. Because here's the truth. Action builds confidence, not the other way around. Most people think they need to feel confident before they act. But confidence comes from action. The more you do something, the better you get. And the better you get, the more confident you feel. So if you want to make progress every day, you have to train yourself to act despite fear. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because everything you want in life exists on the other side of discomfort. Think about a rocket launching into space. It burns the most fuel in the first few minutes, breaking through the atmosphere. But once it's past that point, it moves effortlessly. That's how progress works. The hardest part is getting started. Once you push past the initial resistance, things get easier. And that's why discipline is so important, because discipline carries you when motivation fades. Motivation is like a spark. It gets things going, but it's not enough to keep things burning. Discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire alive. Now, how do you build discipline? By keeping your word to yourself, by doing the hard things even when you don't feel like it. Every time you push through discomfort, you get stronger. You train your mind to follow through no matter what. And here's the secret. Discipline is built through repetition. The more you do something, the easier it becomes. The first time you wake up early, it's hard. The 10th time, it's easier. The 100th time, it's automatic. But what happens when you don't feel like doing something? What happens when your energy is low? When life throws distractions at you? That's when you must remove emotion from the equation. Most people let their feelings dictate their actions. If they don't feel like working out, they skip it. If they don't feel like working on their goals, they procrastinate. But successful people don't operate based on feelings. They operate based on commitment. This means you show up whether you feel like it or not. You do the work whether it's convenient or not. You take the next step whether the conditions are perfect or not. Because at the end of the day, feelings are temporary. They come and go. But results come from consistency. And consistency is about doing the right things every single day. So ask yourself, what small thing can you do today, right now, that moves you forward? Because progress isn't a one-time event. It's a habit. Progress is not about speed. It's about direction. Most people think they need to make giant leaps to be successful. They think they need to overhaul everything overnight. But that's not how real progress works. Real progress happens in small, consistent steps. Now here's the challenge. We live in a world that glorifies instant results. People want the shortcut. They want the magic formula. They want the results without the process. And because of that, they overlook the power of daily, steady improvement. But think about this. If you get just 1% better every day, the results will compound. You won't just be slightly better, you'll be exponentially better. That's how mastery is built. Now let's talk about something that holds people back. Overcomplication. Some people never make progress because they overthink every step. They analyze, plan, and research, but they never move. They convince themselves they need the perfect strategy, the perfect timing, the perfect conditions. But perfection is a trap. It keeps you stuck. Success is not about knowing everything. It's about taking action with what you know right now. Clarity comes from movement. The more steps you take, the clearer the path becomes. Imagine a car driving at night. The headlights only show a few feet ahead, but that's enough to keep moving. You don't need to see the whole road. You just need to see the next step. Now let's get practical. If you want to make progress every day, you must have a clear target. Most people don't lack discipline. They lack direction. They wake up every day without a clear idea of what they're working toward. They drift, and drifting leads to nowhere. You must set specific, measurable goals, not vague ideas, not wishes, clear, defined targets. Instead of saying, I want to get in shape, say, I will exercise for 30 minutes every day. Instead of saying, I want to be successful, say, I will make 5 sales calls today. Specific goals give you direction, and direction creates momentum. Now here's something powerful. Tracking your progress. What gets measured gets improved. If you don't track your actions, You won't know if you're improving. And here's the trick. Focus on tracking your effort, not just the outcome. You can't always control results, but you can control your daily actions. Let's say you're building a business. You can't control how many customers say yes, but you can control how many people you reach out to. If you focus on consistent action, the results will follow. Now let's talk about environment. Your environment plays a massive role in your progress. Most people don't fail because they lack willpower. They fail because they're surrounded by distractions, negativity, and excuses. If you're constantly around people who complain, you'll start complaining. If your environment is full of clutter, your mind will be cluttered. You must create an environment that pulls you toward progress. If you want to be healthier, stock your kitchen with healthy food. If you want to read more, put books where you can see them. If you want to stay focused, remove distractions from your workspace. Set yourself up to win. And finally, let's talk about resilience. Because no matter how disciplined you are, no matter how well you plan, life will test you. There will be setbacks. There will be failures. There will be days when nothing goes as planned. The key is this. Don't let one bad day turn into a bad week. Don't let a small setback make you quit. If you miss a workout, don't miss the next one. If you fall off track, get back on immediately. Progress is not about never failing. It's about never staying stuck. Every single day you have a choice. Will I move forward or will I stand still? And the people who win in life, they keep moving, no matter what. Progress is not just about action. It's about alignment. You can work hard every day, but if you're moving in the wrong direction, you won't get where you want to go. Imagine someone paddling a boat with all their strength, but they're going upstream against the current. They're exhausted, but they're not making real progress. So here's the question. Are your daily actions aligned with your ultimate vision? Many people are busy, but they're not productive. They check off tasks. They keep themselves occupied, but they're not moving forward. Progress isn't just about doing more. It's about doing what matters. Now, how do you make sure your actions are aligned? You must develop the habit of reflection. Most people don't stop to think. They just move from one task to the next, from one day to the next, without ever asking themselves, is this the right direction? But the most successful people in the world, they take time to evaluate. Because if you don't stop to measure your progress, how do you know if you're on track? Think about a pilot flying a plane. They don't just set the course and forget about it. They constantly check their instruments, adjusting for wind, turbulence, and unexpected changes. You must do the same with your life. Now let's talk about one of the most underrated keys to progress, energy management. You can have the best mindset, the best strategy, the best habits, but if your energy is low, everything feels harder. Most people think time management is the key to success, but time is useless if you don't have the energy to use it well. So ask yourself, what gives me energy? What drains me? Pay attention to your habits, your food, your sleep, your exercise. These things matter. You can't expect to operate at a high level if you're running on fumes. If you're constantly tired, constantly sluggish, constantly distracted, you need to fix that first. Small adjustments make a huge difference. Drinking more water, moving your body, getting enough rest. These things might seem basic, but they directly affect your ability to focus, work, and make progress every day. And here's something most people overlook: mental energy. You must guard your mind the way you guard your time, because negativity, doubt, and distractions will drain you faster than anything else. Who are you listening to every day? What kind of conversations are you having? What kind of thoughts are you feeding your mind? Because here's the truth. Your environment doesn't just affect your productivity. It affects your beliefs. If you're surrounded by people who make excuses, you'll start making excuses. If you're constantly consuming negativity, you'll start seeing the world through that lens. So protect your energy. Be intentional about who and what you allow into your mind. And finally, let's talk about patience. Because one of the biggest killers of progress is frustration. People quit too soon because they don't see immediate results. But success is never instant. Think about a bamboo tree. You plant the seed, you water it, you nurture it, but for years, nothing seems to happen. No visible growth. But underground, the roots are spreading, the foundation is being built. And then suddenly one day, it shoots up, growing rapidly. This is how progress works. You might not see the results right away, but if you stay consistent, the breakthrough will come. So, don't get discouraged if things aren't happening as fast as you want. Keep going, because every small step you take is building something bigger than you can see right now. Every day, you have a choice. Stay the same or move forward. And the people who win, they choose progress every single day. Progress is not a destination. It's a way of life. Most people think they'll finally be happy once they reach their goal. They believe that once they have the success, the money, the recognition, then they'll feel fulfilled. But here's the truth. Fulfillment doesn't come from arriving. It comes from growing. If you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. And this is why daily progress matters, because it keeps you alive. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Now let's talk about something that separates people who consistently progress from those who stay stuck. Standards. Your standards dictate your life. What you accept, what you tolerate, what you expect from yourself. These things shape your reality. Most people fail to progress because they set their standards too low. They tolerate inconsistency. They accept excuses. They allow themselves to settle. But the people who grow every day, they raise their standards. They don't settle for doing just enough. They don't settle for half-hearted effort. They demand excellence from themselves, not because someone else is watching, but because that's who they choose to be. So ask yourself, what are your standards? Are you holding yourself to the level of discipline, focus, and effort that will lead to real progress? Or are you making excuses? Because at the end of the day, your results will never exceed your standards. Now here's something that's just as important as effort: rest. This might sound contradictory. How can resting help you progress? But here's the truth. You cannot sustain high performance without recovery. Progress is not about working yourself into exhaustion. It's about sustainable effort. It's about knowing when to push and when to recharge. Because if you burn yourself out, you stop making progress. If you're constantly exhausted, your productivity drops, your creativity disappears, and your body breaks down. So make time for rest. Make time to reset. Not as an excuse to be lazy, but as a strategy to go further. Think about it like an athlete training for competition. They don't train at maximum intensity every single day. They have recovery periods because they know the body grows stronger during rest. Your mind works the same way. Your energy works the same way. So build intentional rest into your life. Take care of your mind, your body, and your energy. Because progress is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Now let's talk about something that will take your progress to another level: giving back. One of the fastest ways to grow is to help someone else grow, to teach what you've learned, to lift someone else up. Because progress is not just about you. It's about impact. It's about contribution. And the more you give, the more you grow. Think about a candle lighting another candle. It doesn't lose anything. It just creates more light. That's what happens when you share your knowledge, your experiences, your wisdom. And here's something interesting. Teaching something forces you to master it. It deepens your understanding. It makes you better. So, as you focus on making progress every day, don't just think about what you're gaining. Think about what you're giving, because that's where the real fulfillment comes from. And finally, let's talk about the most important mindset for lifelong progress: gratitude. See, most people focus so much on what they don't have, they forget to appreciate what they do have. And when you constantly focus on what's missing, you start to feel like you're never enough. But gratitude changes everything. It shifts your focus. It makes you realize how much you've already grown. Every day, take a moment to appreciate your progress, even if it's small, even if it's not where you want it to be yet. Because when you're grateful for the progress you have made, you create the mindset to keep going. So here's the bottom line. Progress is not about luck. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about making a decision every single day to move forward. Not perfectly, not instantly, but consistently. And if you do that, if you commit to getting just a little better every single day, your life will transform in ways you never imagined. At the end of the day, progress is a decision. Not once, not just when you feel like it, but every single day. Because life doesn't wait for you to be ready. It moves, whether you move with it or not. And the people who win, the people who grow, the people who build extraordinary lives, they don't wait for permission. They don't wait for motivation. They decide, they act, they move forward no matter what. Now let's be honest. Some days it's going to be easy. You'll wake up energized, focused, inspired. You'll feel like you can take on the world. But what about the other days? What about the days when you feel tired, when life feels overwhelming, when the results aren't coming fast enough and you start to wonder if it's even worth it? Those are the days that matter most. And because anyone can move forward when it's easy, what separates the successful from the unsuccessful is the ability to keep going when it's hard, when you don't feel like it, when no one is watching, when the progress is slow and the work is uncomfortable. That's when character is built. That's when momentum is created. That's when your future is shaped. when your future is shaped. To say, because here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And if your habits are built around excuses, around inconsistency, around waiting for the right time, you will never reach your potential. But if your habits are built on discipline, consistency, and daily improvement, you will be unstoppable. Because progress is not about speed. It's about direction. One step forward, even a small one, is still forward. And those steps add up. So ask yourself, what's one thing you can do today, right now, that moves you forward? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because the truth is, you don't need another motivational speech. You don't need to read another book or watch another video before you start. You already know what you need to do. The only question is, will you do it? Because the only way to fail is to stop. So don't stop. Not today, not ever. Move forward every single day, no matter what. Because your future is waiting for you.